Even though the Toronto Blue Jays were eliminated in heartbreaking fashion this season, that does not mean that Toronto Blue Jays baseball has necessarily stopped. There have been a ton of Blue Jays prospects playing in the Arizona Fall League, and they have been shocking the baseball universe. So we're going to break that down and what it could mean going into next season on this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? That Gosse here, host of Jays Digest, and we have a crazy one for you today. Blue Jays, of course, they were eliminated in heartbreaking fashion. We all know this. We also know the ALCS is going on, and they're in crazy games going on there. But in the Arizona Fall League, there are a lot of Blue Jays players who are shocking the baseball universe, shocking the prospect universe, and it's crazy. It's really crazy right now, just the amount of Blue Jays players that are in the Fall League and also performing to the level that they are performing. But before we get all that, quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. About 73% of you guys who are watching this video right now are not subscribed, and we are on the road to 10,000. We're very, very close, and it would mean a lot to me and Peter, who's unable to make it today, but it would mean a lot to us if you could hit that button. And thank you guys for your continued support as we pump out these daily videos for you guys every single day. All right, let's just get into the crazy video today. So I'm going to go over three main players. A couple of them you've probably heard, Ricky Tiedemann being one of them. A couple of them you may have not heard about as much, and they are just going crazy, and it could have some major implications going into next seasons and this offseason as well, given the way that this free agency class is working out. So here's the first screenshot here. Damiano Palmegiani with an absolute nuke off of a really good pitcher in the Jackson Jobe. That one was 105.4 miles per hour off the bat and went 442 feet. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Palmegiani, he's been playing unbelievable in the Arizona Fall League. He had a very, very good minor league career. He hits absolute bombs. He can play third base. Lewis tweeted, "Me thinks we don't need to acquire a third baseman." Now, if you tuned into Ross Atkins' press conference there a couple weeks ago, and Shapiro's, the payroll's not going to change a whole lot, and they're going to be looking specifically what Ross Atkins said, internally with internal options to fill the big gap that, assuming Matt Chapman leaves, there's going to be left open there. And Palmegiani is a guy who's not spoken about too much. Me and Peter have obviously been speaking about Aurelvis Martinez, guys like that, Addison Barger, but Palmegiani might actually be closer than both of those guys just because of the power, the way he's been hitting, and things like that. Now, if you're unfamiliar with him, you drafted him back in 2021, and he's been very, very solid. You can look at the OPS there. In 2021, rookie ball, he hit with a 996 OPS, 333 average in 17 games. And then the last 2 years, he has been steadily getting more and more playing time. 128 games last year. He hit for a 255 average and 842 OPS. He hits for absolute bombs. 23 home runs last year, 24 home runs in 2022. RBI machine. He is a guy that we're not speaking about much right now, but he might be in the running for that third baseman spot if Matt Chapman goes ahead and leaves, like many of us think he will. And I would love to see him at least just get a chance in the... of course, spring training will be a good test for him against a lot of major league pitchers, but he's performing the Arizona Fall League, and Arizona Fall League's pretty high level. Some people compare it to AAA, AA. Some say it's easier, some say it's harder. But the point is, he's been hitting absolute bombs, having an unbelievable Arizona Fall League run here. And it seems like every other game or every other day, he's hitting absolute nukes and hitting just crazy home runs to 442 feet. I want to see some power on this Blue Jays team, whether that's in the form of Palmegiani or Aurelvis Martinez, or externally in Jorge Soler and Cody Bellinger. So let me know what your thoughts are on him, because he is a guy who has just been unbelievable. Now, so let's quickly move on and touch on another guy who we haven't been speaking about too much here, and this is CJ Van Eyck. He had an unbelievable start a couple days ago, going 5 innings, 1 hit with 5 Ks, and he has a 0.7 ERA throughout the tournament in a tough environment and coming off Tommy John. And of course, if you're unfamiliar with him, he didn't play very good this year in AA following his Tommy John surgery, or in his brief time in the AA system. But CJ Van Eyck was a guy, if you all remember a couple years ago when we were, throwing out Trent Thornton as our, ace starter back in, a couple of years ago, or a few years ago at that point. He was a guy in our prospect in our pipeline who we were expecting to make a very, very big impact in that 2019-2020 range. Ultimately, it didn't pan out to that necessarily, but there is time for him to come back, and this is a very, very good start for CJ Van Eyck. And at the very least, if he's building up his value, he could be a potential trade chip, whether it's this offseason, whether it's at the trade deadline or whatnot. But he's a guy that, he throws very, very solid stuff, throws hard, used to at least before the Tommy John surgery, and he's a guy who could at least maybe be in the running for that 5th starter spot. He's not going to blow you away with a 100-mile-per-hour fastball or anything, especially coming off Tommy John, but even if he can just provide some length and some depth, and me and Peter have discussed this a lot regarding that 5th starter spot, if they do not retain Hyun-Jin Ryu, and Alek Manoah is still not the guy that, some of us want him to be, because we're unfamiliar. We don't really know how good he's performing with his rehab over this offseason and how well he'll be in spring training or how ready he'll be. CJ Van Eyck and other guys like that, Bowden Francis, are going to be guys fighting for that starter spot. People who have been in the prospect system for a while, who are fringe major leaguers, they're going to get their opportunity and they're going to get their chance. And CJ Van Eyck's a guy who they might want to, let him, marinate in the prospect system a little bit more, especially off of his major injury and, of course, Tommy John surgery. But, I mean, if he comes back and heals well from his Tommy John, he could be a guy who has a big impact for the Jays, even if it's not in a mass sample size, if he's just filling in here and there, given, injuries that are inevitably going to happen within our system there. So let us know what your thoughts are on that in the comment section below. Let me know if you think CJ Van Eyck is a guy who you've maybe been following for a while, if you've been watching the Jays for a while. But let's get into the more exciting one now. We all know Ricky Tiedemann. We made a video on him a few days ago. I didn't expect to, be bringing him up again, but he's just getting better and better. And the biggest thing here is his innings pitch. Results are obviously important to a degree in a league like this because you want to see how he, handles the crazy, prospect hitters. A lot of the great hitters are playing in the Arizona Fall League. They're obviously not major leaguers, but they're prospects who are going to soon be. So we can look at the earned run averages of a lot of these guys, and it's very, very crazy. So this is going to be the ranking that I'm pop up here of the earned the ERA and innings pitched. So looking at the innings pitched here, you can see that Ricky Tiedemann leads the entire Arizona Fall League in innings pitched with 18. Now, comparing to the rest of this, you can see 2 Blue Jays on there in Ricky Tiedemann, and then at number 9 you have, of course, CJ Van Eyck, and then Ricky Tiedemann is about 8th in the league in ERA at 2.50. But again, the most important thing right now is innings pitched, and the way that Ricky Tiedemann has been pitching, I've been clamoring about this with Peter constantly throughout these videos. If Ricky Tiedemann can get to a point where he's throwing consistently 5 innings like he has been for the past, I think he's pitched 4 games or maybe 5 games, and 4 out of those 5 he's pitched at least 5 innings. If he can get his innings up and he's leading the league in innings pitched, maybe they are getting him ready for the major leagues to start and compete for that number 5 starter spot, because I would not be surprised if that ultimately ends up being the case. Now, would it be a little bit of a push? Perhaps. Maybe they want to keep him back, and like Peter mentioned, there's some guys in the Maryland system and handle him a bit of a different way, kind of bringing him up in letting him marinate in the prospect system and then bringing him up to the major leagues for a bit, then throwing him back down. That's an option they could go. They could also just try to start him in AAA and just see how he does from there. Or the fun option, they start him with the Blue Jays system as a number 5 starter if they think he has the stuff. And he's proven he has most of the stuff. He is one of the best pitchers in all of baseball's MLB, in all of baseball's pipeline. And he has some of the nastiest stuff I've ever seen out of a prospect. He's a lefty. He throws gas, averaging about 94 miles per hour, touching 96 in his last start. And you can see here, this was yesterday. Day is done. It was another very good start. 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 3 walks. Command was a little bit of an issue, but so 5 innings and 3 out of 4 of his starts, so not 4 out of 5. But the point is, his pitches are getting up there, 78 pitches. His strikeouts are always going to be crazy. The command might be an issue, but he's a guy that I have full faith in, and I think Ricky Tiedemann, there's a chance, especially with the way the Arizona Fall League is going, that he starts the major league season competing for that spot. I wouldn't go as far as to say I think it's likely that he starts with the Toronto Blue Jays this season, but I think it's a very, very, possible scenario, depending, of course, how Alek Manoah does, because you have Kikuchi and Alek Manoah, 2 kind of wild cards. Kikuchi had a phenomenal year last year. I think he's going to be a great starter again this year, but Manoah is a guy we don't know what to expect from. And looking at, Tiedemann's stats throughout his, career, his minor league career, 2022, 2.17 ERA dominance, struggled a little bit this year, 0-5 with a 3.68 ERA, and it was a little bit worse in his brief stints in AA and AAA, but overall, a phenomenal start and phenomenal season for Ricky Tiedemann, and it's great, especially seeing his struggles towards the end of that minor league season, to be able to quickly transition into the Arizona Fall League and be absolutely dominant at 2.50 ERA over 4 starts, going 5 innings in all of them, leading the Arizona Fall League of innings pitched while maintaining a very, very respectable ERA. This is about as good as you could have asked if you were the Toronto Blue Jays, if you are Ricky Tiedemann. And if you're a Blue Jays fan, this is about as exciting as it gets. I named, CJ Van Eyck, Palmegiani, and Ricky Tiedemann. Specifically, Palmegiani and Ricky Tiedemann. CJ Van Eyck I kind of just threw in there because it's an interesting player who's playing well. But Palmegiani can make an impact very, very soon. Maybe not next year. Maybe let him kind of marinate in the in AAA or AA, wherever they want to put him a little bit more. But like Lewis said here, he could be the future third baseman for the Toronto Blue Jays, depending on if they value Orelvis Martinez more, Addison Barger. But the prospect system for the Blue Jays, it isn't phenomenal, it isn't great, but it has some bright spots, Ricky Tiedemann being one of them, Brendan Barriera, and now, of course, Orelvis Martinez and Palmegiani. So that'll wrap up the video. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below about these 3 prospects, and which one of them do you think will have the most impact on the Blue Jays next season. Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll read through them all and see what you guys think, because I think my answer is probably going to be Ricky Tiedemann, but I think Palmegiani is a bit of a dark horse. But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Take it easy. Cheers.